Today's presentation of a Minecraft movie. Please, no throwing popcorn. Also, absolutely no chicken jockeys! Oh, yeah!
Are you ready to rock? Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy a Minecraft movie!
And the crowd goes wild. Yes, that is the real deal. Jack Black popping into a screening to warn the crowd not to throw food for the chicken jockey moment. But I imagine that only fired him up even more.
Exactly.
There are moments in Hollywood that feel like a glitch in the system, where someone says what everyone's thinking and suddenly the entire facade starts to crack. That's exactly what seems to have happened when Jack Black, yes, the lovable rock and roll goofball from School of Rock and Kung Fu Panda, allegedly confronted Rachel Zegler, Disney's handpicked Snow White. Now, on the surface, that might sound like standard industry gossip. But behind that moment, whether whispered in a back room or spread through rumor, was a far bigger story unraveling. A blockbuster remake falling apart, a rising star under fire, and a studio that's starting to look like it's forgotten what made it magical in the first place. What happened between Jack and Rachel isn't just drama, it's symbolic. Because when a Hollywood veteran with decades of goodwill is rumored to have called out one of Disney's next-gen stars for disrespecting the audience, the internet didn't just notice, it exploded. And while Zegler reportedly found herself spiraling, emotionally overwhelmed, even stepping back from social media, the larger damage was already done. But how did it get this far? How did the Snow White remake, a project built on legacy, nostalgia, and billion-dollar potential, become a case study in how to alienate your audience in record time? Let's rewind to the casting choice that started it all, and why it turned so many fans against her before a single frame had even been shown. When Disney announced that Rachel Zegler would be playing Snow White in their upcoming live-action remake, it should have been a fairy tale moment. Here was a young, charismatic actress with a breakout role in West Side Story, handpicked to step into one of Disney's most iconic characters. For most, it would have been a dream gig, but almost instantly the narrative began to unravel, not because of her talent, but because of what she said. In interview after interview, Zegler didn't celebrate the legacy of the original Snow White. She dismissed it. She called the prince in the 1937 classic a stalker, said Snow White wouldn't need saving from any man this time, and made it clear that this version of the story would toss out a lot of what made the original iconic. And not just the romance. The seven dwarves were being replaced with something else entirely. Instead of nostalgia, she brought a heavy-handed message. Instead of reverence, it came across as mockery, and fans noticed. Now, sure, reimagining characters is nothing new, but there's a difference between updating a story and insulting the people who loved it. The tone Zegler struck felt less like a confident modern update and more like a lecture, like she was embarrassed by the very fairy tale she was hired to represent. And then came the quote that would haunt her. "People will always come see me, no matter what. Everything I do, people will wait in line to see." It was bold, it was unapologetic, and the internet did not take it well. That clip went viral. Fans, critics, and even neutral observers began to frame her as arrogant, out of touch, and overly confident for someone still early in her career. Memes popped up overnight. YouTubers used it as their new thumbnail text, and instead of building excitement for the film, her words became fire for a growing online revolt. What was supposed to be a moment of female empowerment turned into a PR crisis, and as the backlash grew louder, it wasn't just Rachel in the spotlight, it was the entire Disney remake machine under scrutiny. But things were about to go from bad to brutal, because what happened next took the awkwardness of bad interviews and turned it into full-blown humiliation. After that now infamous quote, "People will always come see me no matter what," Rachel Zegler became a meme overnight, but not in the way you'd want. She wasn't being celebrated, she was being mocked, remixed, and dissected like a case study in how not to handle PR. At first, her supporters tried to spin it. "She's just confident," they argued. "She's challenging outdated fairy tales." But that defense didn't hold up for long, especially when her interviews kept fanning the flames. Zegler doubled down, saying she hated the original Snow White, openly criticized the prince, and even joked about replacing the seven dwarves with a group of magical creatures. It felt like she wasn't just promoting a new version, she was publicly insulting the old one. And here's the thing, fans of the original aren't a niche group. We're talking about a film that's part of Disney's foundation, a movie that defined the studio's golden age. To tear it down while standing in its shoes? That's not bold, that's careless. But what really pushed things over the edge was how she presented herself in the aftermath. Zegler started posting videos on TikTok and Instagram, clips of her sitting alone in completely empty movie theaters, smiling at the camera like everything was fine. No crowds, no fans, just her, surrounded by rows and rows of empty seats.
One of the only ones there, just like Rachel Zegler, as it turns out, and we part with this video of Rachel Zegler alone in a theater watching herself. the most unlikable humans.
That
ever.
is sadder than when the original Snow White eats the
And here's the weird part. She shared those posts like it was a flex, as if she was reclaiming the narrative. But to viewers, it looked like denial. Painful, awkward denial. The internet responded fast. Who told her this was a good idea? This is like watching someone unravel in real time. She said people would line up to see her. This is the line? And just like that, Rachel Zegler went from rising star to the main character of cringe TikTok. Every post, every quote, every photo started getting picked apart. Her interviews were no longer press material. They were meme fuel. And while this was happening, something completely unexpected started brewing in the background. A movie that people weren't even taking seriously at first. One that had no princesses, no legacy IP, and no lecture attached. A Minecraft movie, yes, based on the blocky sandbox game, was about to destroy everything Snow White thought it had going for it. While Rachel Zegler was trending for all the wrong reasons, another film, one nobody thought would matter, was quietly gearing up to dominate the box office. Enter Minecraft. Yes, that Minecraft. The pixelated game your little cousin plays for hours. It wasn't even on most critics' radar. People assumed it would be another cringy video game adaptation, doomed to flop like so many others before it. But here's the twist. It didn't flop. It blew up. While Snow White was struggling to generate excitement, Minecraft was becoming a phenomenon. Critics were stunned. Fans loved it. And the box office numbers were undeniable. In its first weekend, Minecraft made more in the US than Snow White did globally after 3 weeks. Think about that. On one side, you had a glossy Disney remake packed with marketing dollars and brand legacy. On the other, a quirky movie based on a sandbox game, led by Jack Black. And maybe that's exactly why it worked. Jack Black wasn't trying to push a message. He was there to have fun, bring joy, and play a goofy character that audiences loved. It was everything Snow White wasn't. Lighthearted, authentic, and self-aware. While Disney was busy turning a fairy tale into a statement piece, Minecraft was giving families what they actually wanted. Laughter, nostalgia, good vibes, no lectures, no agendas, just pure fun. And audiences agreed with their wallets. Theaters showing Minecraft were packed. Kids were dancing in the aisles. Parents were laughing out loud. The vibe? Pure joy. The very thing Disney used to be known for. Meanwhile, over at Disney's corner, the silence was deafening. Empty seats, social media damage control, a marketing team in panic mode. And that's when the rumors started. Whispers of a confrontation between Jack Black and Rachel Zegler. Something had clearly happened behind the scenes, but no one expected it to blow up the way it did. And what allegedly went down between them would spark the biggest twist yet. It started as a whisper, an unverified rumor tucked away in a Reddit thread, then picked up by a few industry insiders. But it didn't stay quiet for long. According to behind-the-scenes sources, Jack Black, yes, that Jack Black, confronted Rachel Zegler during the most chaotic stretch of the Snow White fallout. And what he said might have been the moment someone finally voiced what everyone else in the room was too scared to admit. The confrontation allegedly took place at a press junket, though some claim it happened during reshoots. Details vary, but the core story remains the same. Jack Black, frustrated by the backlash Zegler was generating, pulled her aside and asked a brutal question. Do you really think calling fans out is helping? A single line. Simple. Devastating. And in that moment, the power dynamic flipped. Jack Black isn't just a funny guy with a guitar. He's a Hollywood mainstay with decades of goodwill, a resume full of cult hits, and the rare kind of credibility that crosses generations. So when he speaks, especially in a room full of executives, people listen. Some reports say Rachel was stunned. Others claim she stormed off, overwhelmed and in tears. A few even suggest she broke down in front of Disney execs and went quiet on socials not by choice, but because she had reached a breaking point. There's even speculation, unconfirmed but widely circulated, that she sought therapy in the wake of that conversation. Now, let's be real. This is Hollywood. Rumors get exaggerated. Stories morph. But the fact that so many people believed it instantly says a lot about how far her public perception had already dropped. The idea of Jack Black, a guy known for joy and silliness, stepping in to play the role of truth-teller resonated in a way no PR team could have scripted. It wasn't just about calling her out. It was symbolic, a clash between old-school charisma and new-school entitlement, between someone who respects the audience and someone who, fairly or not, was seen as dismissing them. Whether the confrontation happened exactly as described doesn't even matter at this point. The narrative took hold, and it stuck. And for Disney, that's when everything started to spin completely out of control. Behind closed doors, Disney was in full panic mode. What was supposed to be a billion-dollar blockbuster was now a sinking ship, and the Jack Black confrontation, whether real, exaggerated, or somewhere in between, became the tipping point. Marketing dollars were slashed and scrambled. PR teams rushed to shift the narrative, pivoting toward damage control instead of promotion. Internally, reports surfaced that entire scenes were being cut or rewritten just weeks before the premiere. One source even described the film's tone as like watching two different movies mashed together, and not in a good way. Test screenings didn't just go poorly, they went disastrously. Viewers called it emotionally flat, preachy, even boring. The fairy tale magic? Gone. In its place, a confused, inconsistent inconsistent mess of ideas, desperately trying to say something meaningful but forgetting how to tell a good story. And it got worse. Disney's own CEO, Bob Iger, reportedly began asking hard questions. How did this happen? How did a flagship IP, a cornerstone of Disney's brand, get so thoroughly bad? He wasn't the only one asking. Even longtime defenders of Disney's remake strategy began to distance themselves. What used to be a sure thing, dust off an old property, slap on a modern twist, print money, was suddenly in jeopardy. And then came the brutal comparison. While Disney was drowning in controversy, Minecraft was sitting at over $300 million globally, with no controversy, no confusion, just joy. Theaters were full, kids were laughing, parents were genuinely enjoying the ride. Meanwhile, Rachel Zegler's press tour vanished. Her social media presence slowed to a trickle. The energy? Gone. Every post felt more filtered, more forced, like someone trying to hold it together while everything collapsed behind the scenes. And fans noticed. They always do. Disney wasn't just losing the box office, it was losing trust. The kind of trust that takes decades to build, and just one bad movie to shatter. And the worst part? The people inside Disney knew it. They just didn't know how to fix it. But the truth? The audience already had. They were flocking to Minecraft. They were posting memes. They were making it loud and clear. Fun beats fake. Joy beats lectures. Authenticity wins. By now, the internet had chosen its narrative, and it wasn't kind. Rachel Zegler wasn't just under fire. She had become the symbol of everything fans hated about modern Hollywood. The arrogance, the dismissal of legacy, the focus on messaging over magic. She was the face of a remake that didn't feel like a fairy tale. It felt like a boardroom checklist disguised as a movie. And when the pressure mounted, her public persona started to fracture. Her content slowed to a crawl. The vibrant, self-assured voice from earlier interviews was replaced with filtered selfies, vague inspirational quotes, and carefully crafted posts that screamed damage control. She reposted fan support, but it didn't land the same, because at that point, the energy had shifted. Everything she shared felt like a reaction, not a narrative, not confidence, just survival. And when people sense that, when they feel the disconnect between what someone posts and what's really happening, they pounce. Online, she became a meme, a punchline. The "I don't need a Prince" girl, sitting alone in empty theaters. Even neutral fans began to check out. It wasn't just about Ziegler, it was about the exhaustion people felt from Hollywood's constant insistence that criticism equals insult, that audiences just don't get it, that legacy stories need to be fixed rather than respected. And in that climate, Minecraft was thriving. While Disney scrambled to re-edit, reframe, and rescue its latest disaster, Minecraft was raking in cash, praise, and fan loyalty with zero controversy. It wasn't trying to say anything, it was just fun. And fun, it turns out, is something people have deeply missed. The alleged clash between Jack Black and Rachel Zegler might have made headlines, but the real story was much bigger. It was about a clash of values, two opposing visions of what entertainment should be. On one side, a studio obsessed with reinvention, messaging, optics. On the other, a generation of audiences starved for sincerity, for heart, humor, magic, not lectures. Zegler may have been the face of the controversy, but she wasn't the root of the problem. She was a symptom of a system that forgot why people watch movies in the first place. Disney used to make people feel something. Now many feel like they're being talked at, not brought in. It's not just about one failed remake. It's about decades of goodwill being tested, one clumsy reboot at a time. And the warning signs have been flashing for a while. Diminishing returns at the box office, increasing hostility online, fatigue from fans who feel like they've lost the magic. But Snow White? That might have been the loudest alarm yet, and ironically, it took someone like Jack Black, unfiltered, beloved, and not afraid to push back, to spark the conversation Hollywood's been avoiding. He allegedly said what needed to be said, and maybe, just maybe, it's the moment the industry starts to listen. So, what's left? A Disney remake in shambles, a star who went from rising icon to walking controversy, and a cultural divide between what Hollywood is making and what people actually want. This wasn't just a box office flop, it was a turning point. Snow White was supposed to be a crown jewel, a guaranteed win. Instead, it might go down as the moment the illusion broke, the moment audiences finally said, we're done. Done with the lectures, done with the arrogance, done with studios that seem more interested in headlines than heart. And now, with eyes on every next release, with trust shaken and fans watching closer than ever before, the real question becomes, will Hollywood listen? Or will this just be another cautionary tale, brushed off, buried, and forgotten? Until it happens all over again,